Does it ever feel like intimacy has slowly, mysteriously migrated onto a to-do list? What was once a source of connection and pleasure now has the same emotional weight as take out the trash or file the taxes. It feels like an obligation, a duty, a chore. If you're on the receiving end, you might feel confused and hurt, wondering why your partner isn't interested. And if you're the one feeling this way, you're likely overwhelmed with guilt, asking yourself, what is wrong with me? I love this person, so why does sex feel like just one more thing I have to do? This is an incredibly common and painful disconnect. It's the gap where one person is seeking physical closeness to feel connected, and the other person needs to feel connected before they can even think about physical closeness. The root of this problem is often a deep misunderstanding of how desire actually works. We're all sold this myth of spontaneous desire, that desire should just show up out of nowhere, like a lightning bolt. But for the majority of people, especially women in long-term relationships, the reality is responsive desire. Think of it this way, her desire doesn't always start the fire. It's the warmth that builds after a fire of connection, safety, and relaxation has already been lit. Her desire is an outcome, not a starting point. When sex feels like a chore, it's because the conditions for that responsive desire have been accidentally, and often innocently, poisoned. Today, we are going to talk about 3 of the most common bedroom habits that unknowingly turn sex into a chore for her. This isn't about blame. This is about identifying the subtle patterns that create pressure and disconnect, so you can finally replace them with connection and pleasure. This information is crucial for changing the dynamic in your relationship, starting tonight. Make sure you subscribe to Her Intimate Mind, the KP psychology of her yes, so you don't miss our weekly deep dives into intimacy. The first, and by far the most powerful habit that transforms intimacy into a chore, is what I call the habit of silent pressure. This is when the answer no does not feel safe. Now, when I say safe, I'm not talking about physical safety. I'm talking about emotional safety. This habit is built from all the subtle, nonverbal ways we express disappointment. It's the heavy theatrical sigh. It's the cold roll away when you abruptly turn your back to her in bed. It's the sarcastic, well, okay then, I guess I'll just... It's the pouting. It's the wounded, sad puppy look. It's the I'm fine that clearly means you are not fine. If you are the person who initiates, this might feel familiar. Your feelings are real. You feel rejected, you feel hurt, and these reactions are just a way of showing your disappointment, right? You're just trying to communicate that you miss her, that you want to be close. But here is the devastating psychological impact of those reactions. You are, unintentionally, teaching her that her no will be met with a negative consequence. That consequence is your disappointment. You are teaching her that her no will cause you pain, and that she is now responsible for managing not only her own exhaustion, but your emotional distress as well. This creates a terrible trap. It creates guilt. And guilt is not an aphrodisiac. Guilt is the polar opposite of desire. It means her choice is no longer between I want to have sex and I don't want to have sex. Her choice is now between I'll have sex I don't really feel ready for and I'll say no, and then lie awake feeling guilty and stressed, managing my partner's bad mood. When that is the choice, sex is no longer a want to. It is a have to. It is a chore you do to avoid a negative outcome. It is, in the most literal sense, duty sex. This is the cycle of desire killing. The initiator feels rejected, so they apply pressure. The receiver feels the pressure, so they withdraw even more to protect themselves. This makes the initiator feel more rejected, so they apply more pressure. It's a spiral that leads straight to a sexless, resentful relationship. The only way to break this habit is to make no an emotionally safe, pressure-free, and neutral answer. I call this the gracious reception. It is, counterintuitively, the single most important part of foreplay. The next time you initiate and you are met with, I'm just too tired, you must change the script. You take a breath, you let that initial sting of rejection pass, and you respond with warmth. You say, okay, I get it. You've had a crazy day. And then here's the master move. You follow it up with a non-sexual offer of connection. You say, "Is it okay if we just cuddle for a few minutes then? No pressure. I'd just love to hold you." Or, "I understand. How about I give you a 5-minute back rub before we sleep? You deserve to relax." In that moment, you have done something magical. You have diffused the pressure. You have proven that your desire for her is not just a desire for an act, but a desire for her. You have proven that your primary goal is connection, not just a transaction. You are communicating. Your well-being and your peace are more important to me than this single sexual outcome. This profound act of emotional safety may not lead to sex tonight, but it is the only thing that builds the foundation for an enthusiastic, authentic, non-chore yes in the future. The second habit that turns sex into a chore is what I call the habit of the transactional touch. This is the habit where the only time you offer warm, lingering, affectionate touch is when it is a direct lead-up to sex. The rest of the day, the rest of the week, is a touch desert. You might pass each other in the kitchen with no contact. You sit on opposite ends of the sofa, scrolling on your phones. There are no casual back rubs, no hand-holding, no 6-second hugs, no playing with her hair just because. The only time that kind of touch appears is at 10:30 at night, in the dark, and it is the universal signal for, "I want sex." Here's the psychological impact. Her nervous system is a brilliant pattern recognition machine. It's smarter than you think. It learns. It learns that this affectionate touch is not actually about affection. It's about an agenda. It's a question. It's an expectation. So, the moment you put your hand on her back, her body doesn't do what you think it's going to do. It doesn't relax. It doesn't open up. It braces. Her mind instantly goes into assessment mode. Okay, here we go. This is happening. Do I have the energy for this? Am I too tired? If I say no, is he going to be upset? How do I navigate this? The touch that was meant to be relaxing has become an instant source of low-grade anxiety and pressure. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you have a boss who is perfectly fine, but the only time they ever walk over to your desk is when they have a huge, stressful, complicated new project to dump on you. The first few times, you're fine. But after a year, the second you see them walking in your direction, your stomach clenches, your heart rate goes up, and your body braces for impact. Even if they're just coming over to say happy birthday. Your body has learned to associate their approach with stress. This is exactly what happens when affection is only transactional. You have unintentionally conditioned her nervous system to associate your intimate touch with a stressful negotiation. She's not responding to the pleasure of the touch. She's reacting to the pressure of the agenda. And when intimacy starts with a clenched stomach, it is the definition of a chore. The solution is to decode your touch. You have to break the association. You must consciously and with great intention reintroduce non-sexual, no-agenda affection into your daily life. I call this the non-sexual touch inventory. Your goal is to fill her touch tank all day long, with no strings attached. This means when you get home from work, you don't just say hi from across the room. You go to her and you give her a real 6-second hug. 6 seconds is the minimum time it takes for the brain to release oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's a hug that says, "I'm home," not, "I want something." It means sitting next to her on the sofa and holding her hand while you watch TV. It means a kiss on the top of her head as you pass her in the kitchen. It means a 5-minute foot rub while you're talking about your day. And then, this is the critical part. You just say goodnight and go to sleep. You must break the pattern. You have to prove over and over again that your touch is a statement of love, not a question of sex. You are retraining her nervous system, and your own, to understand that affection is the goal, not just the vehicle for something else. The third and final habit is what I call the habit of the 11 PM handoff. This is the habit of ignoring the context of your relationship for the entire day, and then expecting intimacy to just magically happen in the bedroom at the end of the night. This is the habit of living as disconnected roommates. You're two ships passing in the night. The day is a blur of work, logistics, kids, and screens. You haven't had a real 10-minute phone-free conversation all week. You're not operating as a team, you're just two individuals managing a series of logistical fires. And then, at 11 p.m., after the house is quiet and you're both exhausted, one of you rolls over in the dark and tries to initiate. You're asking for a profound act of physical vulnerability from a person who you have been emotionally disconnected from for the last 23 and a half hours. This completely misunderstands the nature of responsive desire. Responsive desire for her is not a switch. It is a result. It is the result of feeling seen. It is the result of feeling heard. It is the result of feeling like you are her partner, not just her other adult roommate. If she has spent the entire day drowning in what we call the mental load, the invisible 24/7 job of being the family's CEO, scheduler, planner, and worrier, her brain is not in lover mode. It is in manager mode. And manager mode is the least sexy mode on earth. When she's the only one tracking the grocery list, and the kids' doctor's appointments, and the permission slips, and what's for dinner, and the carpool schedule. Her brain is full. It is high alert, high stress, and high logistics. There is no space for desire to emerge. Desire requires relaxation. It requires a sense of safety. It requires a sense of play. And management is the opposite of play. So when you, her partner, who has been scrolling on your phone while she managed the chaos, roll over and ask for sex, it doesn't just feel disconnected, it feels insulting. It feels like you are completely blind to the world she is carrying. And sex becomes just one more thing that she is expected to do for someone else. It is the ultimate chore. The solution here is to stop focusing on the bedroom and start focusing on the kitchen at 6 p.m. The solution is proactive partnership. This is the real Choreplay. And it's not just about doing dishes. It's about initiative. It's about you seeing the invisible work and taking it from her without being asked. Don't ask, "How can I help?" That question, while well-intentioned, is just one more thing for her to manage. Instead, do. Say, "I am handling the kids' bedtime tonight, from bath to books. Go take 30 minutes for yourself." Say, "I've already planned dinners for the next 3 nights and bought the groceries." These actions are the most powerful form of foreplay in a long-term relationship. Because what you are communicating is not, "I'm doing a chore." You are communicating, "I see you. I see the weight you are carrying. I am on your team. You can relax. You are safe." That feeling, the feeling of being supported, of being a true partner, of not being alone in the chaos. That is the feeling that calms her nervous system. That is the feeling that turns off manager mode. And that is the feeling that finally creates the emotional and mental space for her own desire to have a chance to show up. You have to build the connection all day so that intimacy at 11 p.m. is not a desperate handoff, but the natural physical culmination of a day of feeling like a team. So let's bring this all together. The 3 most important takeaways today are these. First, silent pressure is the #1 killer of desire. Your partner's no must be met with a gracious reception, making emotional safety your top priority. Second, you must break the transactional touch habit by filling your relationship with non-sexual, no-agenda affection. You must reteach her nervous system that your touch is safe. And third, intimacy is not an 11 p.m. event. It is the result of a 24-hour partnership. The 11 p.m. handoff will always feel like a chore when the mental load is unbalanced. Proactive partnership is the real foreplay. Intimacy is built brick by brick, conversation by conversation, action by action, all day long. Understand her mind, understand her world, and her body will follow. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 3 habits, the silent pressure, the transactional touch, or the 11 p.m. handoff, feels the most familiar in your own life? And what is one small, simple step you can take this week to start to change that pattern? Let us know in the comments below. Your story helps everyone in this community feel less alone.